Hi, so you're probably watching this video because you found my Steam controller layout in the community layouts page for Counter-Strike 2. You can easily access this page by pressing the Steam key or Shift tab, and you press Control Settings here in the bottom. You can navigate using the D-pad here in this window. You select Browse Community Layouts for games without official controller support, pressing A. You can use the left and right bumper to navigate through these windows, and you go to Community Layouts tab, and you scroll down until you find Perfect Steam Controller version 3.1. Version 2 is also available, but I recommend you use version 3.1 just because it builds on top of the previous versions and fixes a bunch of issues that would happen with the inputs in the game. You might be wondering why I'm making a video instead of writing everything down in a guide. It's because it's very overwhelming, as you can see. But also, I think it's better if I explain it in video format instead of like having you read everything. So anyway, before jumping right in, I want to give a couple of shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Dabwe, first of all, for providing me with the build of the 3D model for the Steam controller overlay that you're seeing right now in the video. The 3D model was built by someone else in the GitHub page that I'm going to put, like, all the links are going to be in the description, by the way. I'm going to give a shout out to also Labcat or Cat Lab, I can't remember the name, but he is a genius because he was able to like do explain like how to set up flick stick and even like the trackpad to mouse very quickly, very simple. It takes about like maybe 5-10 minutes to set that up in every FPS game that you would want gyro or flick stick or anything. Like I'll leave his tutorials like in the description, the things that I based upon. And so to make this layout, and so like I can't thank both enough for this. And so I also will leave the link for the 2D overlay that I'm using currently in the video in the description, also the Reddit page where I found the post. So it's the GitHubs and all that stuff. So movements, okay, movements. A, W, S, D is all on the joystick. Some people use the trackpad. I don't really understand why, because you don't really have a physical feeling of where you're positioning your thumb in the trackpad. But anyway, some people use it, some people don't, whatever. I use the joystick. It's much more intuitive. I've made it so that the diagonals are much less easy to hit. So, and the reason for that is because like I want to be able to have more wiggle room for strafing. That's all that is. I'm not gonna be moving around like in the diagonal as often, but if I want to, it just stays like that. Like it just see. Anyway, you'll notice that gyro is set to left stick. If I stop resting the thumb on the left stick, it will stop gyro. But if I put it back, gyro is triggered. And that's because I'm not sure if this is for like every other controller that exists in the market right now, but the Steam controller has capacitive touch. And what it does is basically like when you rest your thumb on the joystick, it is counted as an input. And so this input can be, there's like so much potential to it. For instance, like if I double tap the right joystick surface, it will trigger the inspect weapon function, and it will remain inspecting until I release the thumb from the right joystick. So releasing it stops the inspect once the animation ends, obviously. Then you have so aside from movement, the left joystick, and aside from gyro, you are able to like switch between flick stick and alternative camera. Okay, so the camera is also set to the right joystick. Okay, and the right joystick it can either be flick stick or joystick to mouse. Okay, And joystick to mouse or flick stick are both doable, are both usable in competitive. But yeah, I'd probably train to use the flick stick instead of the joystick to mouse, just because it's much more responsive, as you can see. So flick stick, the way it works is basically like the angle that you push the joystick to the far end of the radius. That's where it will land the camera on. Like, yeah, that's where it will point. So if I hear some guy like shooting in the left side of my ear, I'm going to immediately flick my right joystick to that position, and I can readjust my aim to the head of the person that's shooting at me, and I can immediately kill with a headshot, right? Shooting is with the right bumper, okay? I don't use triggers because triggers have an insanely big, spacious, you know, distance between like the resting position and the moment it triggers, okay? So I use the bumpers because there's a lot less distance, okay, to input the command, okay? So right trigger is scrolling down. It only scrolls down, but if I hold down, it automatically pushes the knife, and that's after 150 milliseconds, okay? You can change the timing at any time by going to the settings. You're going to trigger, and the right trigger, it's long press, as you can see in the command 2. Long press, it's free, that's the knife. If you go to this cogwheel and you go settings, you can, change this value to whatever you want. You could do coarse values if you press epsilon, and that's it. Anyway, so I've done the movement, I've done the gyro, I've done the, I think tab, you hold down with if you hold down left stick, it will trigger tab. And the reason for this is because I wanted to be able to move while watching the minimap. So if there are enemies in side A and I'm on side B, I'm going from side B to A while looking at the last positions of the enemies, right? So that's one of the reasons why. Because like if I wanted to use this button, the select button, to see the tab, like I would be immobilized, right? I want to be able to move. So it's just like giving you the freedom to move around while checking for enemies is always good. Okay. The caveat to this, unfortunately, is that it works the same way as like when you press down Shift and Tab in the keyboard. So if, for instance, like I have left trigger to Shift, okay, and then if I hold down the joystick, the left joystick, which is set to tab, it's going to trigger the Steam overlay, and that sucks, right? And the only way to counteract this problem is by going to the settings and changing the tab to a different key, okay? And also, while I'm at it, I should show you like all the binds that I have, because otherwise some things might not work right out of the box with this layout. So I'm just going to scroll down and have you see like even the mouse sensitivity, for example, is important. Like you want to have like 1 on both, okay, on both sensitivities. So I'm just going to scroll down until you have like all the commands. You can pause at any time to see if they are different. Anyway, so that's done. You go back here. Okay, so I'm done with the left joystick. The right joystick it has like multiple functions as well. Like besides like inspecting the weapon, and also like you can hold down to ping, but you can also like quickly click to reload your weapon, right? So you don't have to like click a different button in the D-pad to like reload like most people do. So you just reload, like quickly click on the joystick down. You're not going to be reloading as often, and that's why. But it's also important, like you want to reload as fast as possible, like in the moment, right? So that's why I don't even want to remove my joystick from my thumb from my joystick, right? So to reload, I'm just gonna do a quick demo. I'm just gonna leave the map real quick and go to another map. I'm sorry if the game is too loud for whatever reason.
Let's go, fellas.
It's so weird. Like I keep changing the value, but it doesn't work anyway. So, sorry. Resume. So I'm just gonna remove all the bots, and I'm gonna put it on off. Okay. So I'm shooting. Okay, and I want to reload. I quickly click on the right joystick. Okay. If I hold down, it's ping. If I double tap, it's supposed to inspect the weapon. Flick stick, normal, joystick to mouse, camera, and B is 2, but it could also be buy, obviously, or B for buy. Makes sense, right? So you hold down, and you'll notice that gyro is also set to B whenever you hold it down. And that's because like you want to use the D-pads for stuff like auto buy, okay, or refund, or rebuy previous. Rebuy previous would mean that the previous round is what you would, I guess, like is what you get. And then like if I if for up, like I would buy a weapon and it would drop the weapon like on the floor. I think it's supposed to do that. Yeah, it's supposed to do that, but I don't know why it's not doing here. Okay, whatever. Either way, we're gonna go back. We're gonna have to tweak with the audio again. I don't know why Counter-Strike does this. It's really weird. The only way it says, like, if I close the game and turn the game back on. Either way. So, I keep pressing on the Steam button. Anyway. So, the reason why I have A set to, for instance, like, when I start press, it goes to the knife, but when I press release, it goes to the primary weapon. Reason for this is because when I am using an op or a scout, and I want to avoid automatically scoping. Like, I didn't click on scope, right? And so that's the annoying bit. So what I did was I used a mechanic where I am still able to automatically select the primary weapon as fast as possible, like in A, and like the secondary would be B, and like the knife would be right trigger. But I also wanted to be able to do so when I wanted to like cancel the scope, but I wanted to select the primary weapon at the same time. So that was kind of a tricky thing, and I initially thought I would do like a cycle command, but that doesn't work because like sometimes like you switch between a weapon, like it was very weird, and it's kind of hard to explain. I'm not gonna try to explain it, but imagine like you're trying to click the button and you had to click it twice to do the function that you want, or 3 times almost. And it was very awkward. That's why I don't recommend the version 2. It's basically because of that, and also because like some of the problems with the buy menu, like for instance, like A, as you're seeing right now, like it's bound to not only 3 but to 1. If I was to press 3 and 1 in the buy menu by accident, it would trigger the like a purchase that I didn't want to do, right? And so that's annoying. So I don't want that. So I'm gonna remove the gun by double clicking on X and then picking up the gun, pressing X, okay? And you can also hold down. So, I mean, there's some community servers that would want you to use, the hold down E, I don't know, for like parachute or something. So I just leave it like that and then like double click. I tried to use like maybe the grip sense. Like you can also, if you notice like if I turn the controller down, like you'll notice that my grip is being lifted. Like you see the red bar in the controller. And also like in the 2D version, like you can see that it's the grip is getting triggered, right? Okay. So I try to like use the grip sense, and I don't recommend it at all because it leads to a lot of missed inputs. So that's one of the problems that I had in the first layouts that I made. Either way, what else can I do? Oh, also grenades. So grenades here. So you can cycle using Epsilon, okay, cycle grenades. But you can also use the right trackpad. So you don't really want to have this menu opened all the time, right? You just want to memorize like where the positions for the grenades are. And the reason for that is because like you can very easily select the grenade that you want by clicking on the corner of the trackpad. You don't want to like second guess where your thumb is in the trackpad. Like you just want to click on the spot and that will bring you the grenade that you want. So it's going to be a bit tricky to like memorize the grenades and like the positions and stuff, but it's not going to take like too long, I would say. So either way, for voting, like for voting yes, for instance, like you'd have to hold down A. Unfortunately, I don't really recommend doing so because like you probably like could use like the D-pad up or down or left or right or something. Like you could bind. I'm leaving this option for you. Like it's entirely up to you if you want to bind like F1 or F2 or what was it? What was the binds? I'm sorry. What are the binds? F1, yeah, F1 and F2 to like the D-pad. Okay. Problem is like it's gonna be different when you select a different camera mode, and that's why I didn't add the commands in here, right? But either way, so that's an option that you're able to do. But yeah, holding down A is going to trigger the vote yes, and holding down Epsilon will trigger no. Okay. B for buy, like it prevents like anything. So I was saying like there was like misinputs like when you were buying stuff. So in this iteration of the layout, that there's nothing like that. So any potential misinputs that you would have, like it's very much like fixed. So that way you're unable to like accidentally buy something you don't want. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like you could use the left trackpad to like scroll up and down, or in the alternative camera mode, you can use the trackpads, the right trackpad to like use your camera. I don't recommend this for competitive because like it tracks like literally every single movement that you do with the thumb. It's not really. I just don't really like it because you could very easily like from like stress or something, like you would flick the camera on the sides. It really picks up on every single small movement that you do with the thumb, like any circular movement, right? Anyway, and I made sure that vertical, you wouldn't be able to move the like the thumb vertically, or the camera vertically, I mean, because it would do like an effect, a C effect, like it'd just be really weird, right? And so I didn't really find a fix for that. I just made it so like there's no vertical movement. Selecting, so the select button is the tab also, as I've mentioned, but you're not able to move. What you can, however, do is like interact with the scoreboard. So like you can, if you, the capacitive touch for the right joystick triggers the right trigger, and that for like a split second, so it's not like constantly triggering. So you can check the profile of someone. And start menu is for the escape button. There's also another thing that I wanted to work, but apparently it doesn't, but Steam is working on a fix. A couple of things. Just like leaving a little comment here at the end. Oh, and also, like, while I'm at it, before I jump into the end, jump, no pun intended, is set to R4. R4 is jump, and it's set to jump automatically, like every 10 milliseconds. And you can see the effect of this button when I hold down. It spams the button, the spacebar button, every 10 milliseconds. So it's basically, it's good for bunny hop, and even just one click, it's no big deal, right? It's just one click and you jump. So I had jump on left joystick at one point, but I just didn't. I just thought it was like kind of dumb to have like two inputs, or the same input on two different buttons, right? So, okay, the R5 is camera. Okay, so 180 degrees, very quick, almost feels like you're cheating, and it's very accurate. It really is difficult to determine whether or not like there's a slight movement, like very minimal movement to the right. As you can see, like you can see the crosshair is moving ever so slightly, and that's because like I'm just spamming, right? So the reason for that is because like the Steam doesn't allow you to put float values, so unfortunately I couldn't really make it as accurate as it could be. So it just accepts integer values. Floats don't work. So yeah, I can't do like say 1000.5, right? Or 1000.6. I can't do that. But this is the best next thing. Crouch, jump, I made it so that the positions are very intuitive. So like when I want to crouch jump, I press both R4 and L4, right? At the same time. So, and then finally you have push to talk on the L5. So yeah. So as I was saying about the keyboard and stuff, keyboard doesn't work. I wanted to hold it, so holding down, so if I press down the start button, it triggers the menu. But if I hold it down, it's supposed to bring the keyboard up, but apparently it doesn't work on the Steam Controller 2. On the Steam Controller 1, or at least like in the, I guess the Steam Overlay 1 something, I don't know, it would bring up the keyboard for every game. But in the case of Steam Controller 2, I don't know what they did. It's not working for games. Any game that I throw at it, pretty much. It just works on the desktop. Kind of a bummer, but there's also another thing, like the keyboard is too big. And even if you change the positions in the screen, it's going to occupy like half of the screen. So it's not like, you know, it's just dull, right? I wanted to like be able to resize it as however I want. And speaking of resizing, that just reminded me, the grenade menu, you can tweak it as much as you want, like the positioning, the size, the opacity, like the colors of the icons. You can change about anything in this menu, right? But anyway, another issue that I have with the controller is the haptics. The haptics, I think pretty much everyone that has a Steam controller at the moment, the Steam Controller 2, is suffering from the haptic feedback being exactly the same regardless of whatever intensity it is. I'm not talking about rumble, okay? Rumble is totally different. It only works on, you know, those PlayStation games like the AAA games where you have the cinematics playing. There's like a giant earthquake and you can feel like the controller shaking. Like that's rumble. Haptics is different. Haptics works in a way that when I press a button, it responds by vibrating, right? So and rumble is just triggered when there's like something happening in the game, right? But haptics is from input, and so the the haptic intensity of the controller is equal. Like if I put it on 0 dB or 12 dB, it's going to be the same thing, same intensity. There's no difference. 0 dB should literally just disable the haptic feedback, but it's not. It's not doing that. So Valve is currently working on a firmware update for that, and probably for the keyboard as well. I'm sure of it. Either way, like that's just I think that's like the least of the problems with the controller, or at least like the only thing that's wrong with the controller at the moment. And I'm fine. I'm good. I think I really like the purchase that I made. So you know, very accurately I can hit heads with this controller, and you know, I think it's much better than like using the mouse, right? But you know, some people might not like it. Some people might like it. Some people might just do it for fun. I did it for fun initially, but then like it just clicked on me that I maybe it's just better to use the controller, even though Valve says that Counter-Strike 2 doesn't support controllers. I beg to differ. I think that this layout proves otherwise, and I hope it can prove Valve wrong as well. Like if you use my layout, I've tried the layouts, and I gotta say that they don't work. I don't really understand why that is. I've really tried to like use all these other people's layouts, but I don't know. It's just I don't know why they don't work like the way they're supposed to, or if it's something like on Valve's end, or you know, they're very basic. Either they're very basic or they don't work. Some of the buttons don't work. It's just really weird, and I'm hopeful that even if the layout is not working on your end, you at least like understand the concept behind like all of the things that I've explained in the video, and you can pretty much like check everything out. Like most of the, like for example, like long press, I did it so like it's 150 milliseconds on every single thing that it says like long press. I did it for 150 milliseconds. 130, I think it was on this case, mostly because I want to have like a more snappier buy menu. But yeah, other than that, like 150 seconds, 150 milliseconds. I'm sorry. So anything else that I have? You heard my cat meowing in the back. Oh, also I forgot to mention, like you can also like ping with left trackpad. You could scroll with the left trackpad as well. Anything else? I don't think I said anything else. I think that's pretty much it. So hope you enjoy, and please favorite the guide, like the video, whatever, share it, do your thing, and